some of the most unforgettable songs you know were never really meant to belong to the people who made them famous. What if the records that shaped heartbreak, slow dances, late night drives, first love, and the kind of memories that never leave you were actually carried by two men working quietly behind the curtain? Prince, Babyface. They did not just make hits for themselves. They built songs that became somebody else's identity. And once you hear the stories behind them, you start hearing the music differently, because these are not just classics. These are records that changed hands, changed careers, and changed the way we remember an era. And the first one is almost impossible to believe: The Hidden Architects. When people talk about Prince, they usually start with the obvious things: the voice, the image, the mystery, the command. But Prince was also one of the great behind-the-scenes builders in modern music. He wrote for other artists. He produced for other artists. He created entire worlds for other artists. Sometimes he handed away songs that could have carried his own name. Sometimes he wrote records so specific that they felt like they had already chosen the singer before the singer ever heard them. Somebody told me Babyface worked in a different lane, but the effect was just as powerful. He had a gift for writing from the emotional center of a record. He could make a song feel intimate, polished, and painfully human all at once. That is why these two names matter so much in this story. They were not just hit makers, they were builders. And the artists who sang these songs became the face of something much bigger. At number 10, Tevin Campbell's Round and Round. Prince wrote and produced it for a 13-year-old Tevin Campbell. The song became an early breakthrough, reaching number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 3 on the R&B chart. Here is what makes that remarkable. This was not a cute young artist record. It sounded like a real statement. Tevin had the kind of voice that made you stop and listen even before he had fully grown into it. Prince recognized that immediately, so instead of writing down to him, he wrote a song that let him sound both youthful and controlled at the same time. That is a difficult balance. Too soft and the record disappears. Too grown and it feels forced. Prince found the middle. And because he did, Round and Round does not play like a debut. It plays like the start of something bigger. That is the first lesson in this video. Prince did not just find talent, he framed it. And the next song shows Babyface doing the same thing, just in a completely different way. At number 9, TLC's Red Light Special. Babyface wrote and produced this one, and it became one of the smoothest slow jams of the 1990s, peaking at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 3 on the R&B chart. This song works because it understands tension. It does not rush the feeling, it lets it breathe. That is why it pulls you in so easily. Babyface knew TLC were not just a pop group with attitude. They had chemistry, they had perspective, they had a point of view, so he wrote a song that gave them room to be sensual without losing their identity. That is the trick. A lesser song would have overdone it. This one stays cool, it stays elegant, it leaves space, and in that space, the desire becomes stronger. Red Light Special feels expensive because it is controlled. The vocals glide, the groove stays smooth, nothing crowds the record. That restraint is what made Babyface such a powerful writer. He knew that sometimes the most memorable songs are the ones that do not force themselves on you. They just wait for you to lean in. At number 8, Sheila E's The Glamorous Life. Prince wrote the song, and it became one of the defining records of her career, reaching number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 1 on the dance chart. This one is pure Prince, not just because of the sound, because of the world he creates. The Glamorous Life sounds like movement. It sounds like perfume, mirrors, heels, flashbulbs, and late night confidence. It sounds like a character who knows she is being watched and enjoys every second of it. That is why the song works so well. Prince did not just write a track. He wrote a persona, and he gave Sheila E a record that made her look fully magnetic. That is a special kind of songwriting. Not every hit gives an artist an identity. Some songs just chart. And this one introduced a whole image. And there is another layer here. Prince could have kept the song for himself. He did not need to give away something this strong, but he understood something many artists never fully learn. A great song can hit harder when it lands on the right person. That is what happened here, and that is why Sheila E still feels inseparable from the record. At number 7, Toni Braxton's Breathe Again. Babyface wrote this ballad, and it became one of the defining emotional records of the 1990s, peaking at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. This is heartbreak in slow motion. Not dramatic heartbreak, not messy heartbreak, controlled heartbreak, the kind that stays composed on the outside while everything is falling apart underneath. That is why the song hits so hard. Babyface wrote pain with precision. He did not just write about love. He wrote about dependency, about fear, about the panic of not knowing how to exist without someone. And Toni Braxton was the perfect voice for that feeling. Her tone is warm, but it carries weight. She does not oversing the song. She lets the emotion stay inside the line. That restraint makes every word feel lived in. Breathe Again is more than a hit ballad. It is one of those records that tells you exactly where you were emotionally in the 1990s if you were old enough to feel it. And once Babyface proved he could do that, the next song pushed the emotional scale even further. At number 6, Martika's Love, Thy Will Be Done. Prince co-wrote and produced it, and the song became an international hit, including a top 10 run in the United States. This is one of the most quietly powerful songs on the list. It does not try to overwhelm you. It does not chase drama. It feels like a prayer that found a melody. That is what makes it so moving. Prince was brilliant at taking deeply personal feeling and making it sound universal. He knew how to turn vulnerability into structure. Martika's voice gives the song its softness, and that softness is part of the power. The record does not demand attention. It earns it. That is a rare thing. A lot of songs try to sound important. This one simply is. It feels intimate, spiritual, and human all at once. And because of that, it still sounds fresh years later. The next record shifts the energy again. And if you think you know where this video is going, the next one might surprise you. So At number 5, Whitney Houston's Exhale. Babyface wrote the song for the Waiting to Exhale soundtrack, and Whitney gave it the kind of calm strength only she could deliver. This is not a song that explodes. It releases. That difference matters. Because Exhale is about getting to the other side of pain and realizing you are still here, not unchanged, not untouched, but still here.
Sometimes you'll cry.
Babyface understood that healing is not always loud. Sometimes it is just a breath leaving the body after you have carried too much for too long.
Sometimes it's wrong, and sometimes it's right.
Whitney gives the record its authority. She does not force the feeling. She opens it. That is why the song feels so complete. It sounds like relief, but it also sounds like survival. And that is why people still return to it when they need comfort.
To wish you well.
Babyface knew how to write songs that gave people somewhere to place their emotions. Whitney knew how to make them feel real. That combination is hard to beat. At number 4, Boyz II Men's End of the Road. Babyface, L.A. Reid, and Daryl Simmons wrote it, and the song became one of the biggest breakup records of the decade. This is where the story starts to feel historic, because this was not just a big song. It was a defining one. Babyface was reportedly so attached to the record that he considered keeping it for himself. That tells you everything. He knew the song had power before anyone else did. But once Boyz II Men sang it, the record found its final shape, and then it took off. It spent 13 weeks at number 1, setting a record at the time. That is not just success. That is cultural dominance. Why did it last so long? Because everybody understood it. The heartbreak was universal. The finality was universal. The ache was universal. It sounded like the end of a relationship. It also sounded like the end of an era. That is why the song still carries weight. It is one of those records that defined what a breakup ballad could be.
Chaka Khan, let me tell you what I wanna do. I wanna love you, wanna hug you, wanna squeeze you too.
At number 3, Chaka Khan's The I Feel For You. Prince wrote the original song years earlier, but Chaka Khan turned it into a massive new hit with a completely reimagined sound. This is one of the clearest examples of a song living more than one life. Prince wrote the foundation. Chaka made it explode. The rap intro, Stevie Wonder's harmonica, and the production gave the song a different kind of energy. It became bigger than a cover. It became a reinvention. That matters because people often think a song stops evolving after the first version. It does not. Sometimes the first version is just the seed. The right artist turns it into the tree. That is what happened here. Chaka Khan made the track feel bold, current, and unmistakable. And once it hit, it did not just succeed. It became the version everybody remembers. That is a powerful thing for a songwriter, to write a song that can survive being reborn. Prince could do that again and again, and the next song may be the most famous example of that of all. At number 2, Sinéad O'Connor's Nothing Compares to You. Prince wrote it for the family, and Sinéad turned it into a global grief anthem. This is the song that sounds like a wound you can hear, not because it is the biggest, because it is the most exposed. There is nowhere to hide in this record. No heavy production, no distraction, no escape, just a face, a voice, and loss.
I can eat my dinner in a fancy restaurant.
Prince wrote the song in 1984, then passed it to the family, where it first appeared in 1985. But that was not the version that made history. Sinéad's interpretation changed everything. She did not just sing the song. She carried it. She made it feel like a private heartbreak being held in public. And that is what made it unforgettable. The vocal is controlled, but the emotion is not. Every pause matters. Every line lands like something that still hurts to say. The video made the whole thing even more powerful. It was simple, direct, almost impossible to look away from. That close-up performance turned a deep song into a cultural event. And once it happened, the record became bigger than the decade that produced it. Prince wrote it. Sinéad gave it its final shape in the public eye, and together they created one of the most haunting songs ever to reach the mainstream. That is why it belongs at number 2, because it does not just sound good, it stays with you the whole time. Subscribe now or miss more.